Hey everyone, today I'm gonna do my wrap up for the second half of May. And I'm already dreading everything about this because it is entirely too hot in Berlin. It is hotter than LA. In Berlin, nobody has ACs. So I'm a hot mess and we just gotta get through this. So in the second half of May, I finished 3 novels and listened to 2 audiobooks. That is not really what I had planned for the second half of the month. I had bigger plans, I wanted more from it, but that's just kind of how the month went. And overall, the month was still really successful and really amazing. And I still did so very well with my TBR, so I'm not complaining. So first, in the second half of the month, I finished The Passion of Dulce by Julie Berry. This is a YA historical fiction that I got from the library, and it was a book that truly surprised me. So going into this, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't even know the basic premise, but when I looked it up on Goodreads, I pretty quickly got a feeling for it, and I realized that this actually had to do with religion. So I kind of felt put off by it, but I still wanted to give it a chance because I did feel really excited for it initially, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give it 50 pages and then I can still DNF it. I am so glad I decided to give this a chance because I absolutely love this. I think this is an absolutely amazing book about friendship, about found family, and there's just so many great things in it. It's such a quiet, subtle kind of book. It has a really great atmosphere. It has a really good, I don't know, like, it's so simplistic, but then it just has these really great themes in it, and I'd honestly highly recommend it. I'm not sure how someone would feel about it who does not have any connection to Christianity at all, because I'm not religious, but I did grow up with Christianity. It was definitely a topic in my childhood and also in my teenage years a little bit, so I can't really speak for someone who does not know anything about it or who is maybe like a complete, like, you know, anti-Christianity, anti-religion person. That was not what affected it, I think, but I just want to mention it, that is kind of my, you know, start point going into this, and I'm just not sure how someone else would feel about it. It also had a really wonderful romantic storyline, and it was super subtle. If you don't want to read romance, you can still absolutely read this. But for me, someone who really enjoys romance, I was kind of like already reading things between the lines. I don't know, it was so great, and it was a hate to love romance, but it was so subtle, and oh my god, I loved everything about this book, really. Like the setting, the writing, the atmosphere. I just really think this is a wonderful novel. I would highly recommend it, even if you're a little bit put off by the religious elements. The religious elements just really kind of set the setting and the tone a little bit, but as far as the actual theme of the story and what you will get out of it, it has nothing to do with religion whatsoever. So if you're a fan of female friendship and found family, like 100% recommend it. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, which I had never expected when I started this, but here we are. Then I finished The Art of French Kissing by Brianna Schrum. This is an arc that I got, and I already did a full-length review on it, so I'm gonna leave a link in the description and in the info card. And this comes out Tuesday, so you can all pick it up, and you should all pick it up because it is a really wonderful, fun, but also really emotional YA contemporary. This is about a girl going to this cooking competition where she can win a scholarship for this cooking college, I guess. And this is like her dream, and she doesn't really have the funds to do it without this scholarship, so she goes there and a lot depends on it. And then there's also a hate to love romance in it, and I really enjoyed this. As I said, it's fun and emotional. I really loved the romance. It had a great hate to love trope. There were some really cute, wonderful moments in here that I really loved, but also the kind of, you know, making your passion your job, and these aspects are things that I really enjoyed. I just loved reading about the cooking and all the food. It was amazing. I also want to mention, I'm going into detail in my review, but I want to mention that this is one of the best sex scenes I have ever read in a YA book, and I just want to be really vocal about that because I feel like YA is not really going into a good direction. So whenever I see something that stands out to me positively, I want to mention it. I'm going into a lot more detail on all of these things in my review, but overall, definitely a big recommendation from me. I thought this was a wonderful novel. It also has some diversity in it, which I also talk about in detail in my review. But yeah, if you like YA contemporaries, if you like cooking and food, and if you like hate to love, then definitely pick this up, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to Only Human by Sylvain Nouvel. This is the third and final book in the Themis Files series, and if you have seen my videos, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of this trilogy, but I wanted to continue it because I do think the audiobooks are an experience, and because I kind of felt like there was a lot of potential in the third book and I could have ended up enjoying it, but I did not. I don't even know what to say about this anymore at this point. The series just seems to not be for me, but this is also one of those series where I'm just like, I don't get it. I think the series is trying to do so many things and it just does none of them well. The first book was just not really sure if it wanted to be like a character study or if it wanted to be this huge science fiction book. And then the second book got even worse, like where I think it was even more of a I don't really know, like I want you to really like these characters and I want you to really be with these characters, but then at the same time I'm really going to focus on these huge science fiction elements, and I'm going to use this format that will not make you like these characters because you don't really get to know them, because it's a format where you don't really know what they are feeling. Ugh. And then the third book was trying to do so many things about like racism, and it didn't work for me. I'm a white person though, so maybe it's groundbreaking and amazing and wonderful, and I'm really happy if you enjoy this, but I don't really think that it was very well done. I think I'm just not a fan of this trilogy. I'm not gonna waste any more words on it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. But then I listened to Would You Rather by Katie Heaney. This is also narrated by her, and this is her memoir. She has also written the book Never Have I Ever, and I think the subtitle is My Life So Far Without a Date. I never read that book, but I know initially I was interested in reading it because I thought there were probably things in there that I could relate to. So I picked Would You Rather up because the audiobook was available on my Overdrive, and I thought it sounded kind of interesting and also something that I could relate to. And then only when listening to the book I realized that's the same author that also wrote Never Have I Ever. In this book she talks about how she discovered in her late 20s that she's actually queer, and that, you know, she was not being very successful with dates and having actual relationships with guys because she wasn't actually into guys. And this book changed my life. It's so weird. There were so many parts in it. Like, I'm almost scared to talk about it because I feel like I'm like opening my soul for all of you to see, because if you will read this book, you will read a story about someone who is almost exactly like me. It was just incredible. I have never in my life related to anything or anyone as much as I have related to this. And it was absolutely absurd almost. Like, there was so many, like, even, you know, down to like little moments. Like, there was this moment where she was talking about how she sat in the subway, and for the first time, like a couple of weeks after she has realized she's queer, for the first time she was kind of like actively looking at the guys in the train and thinking like, you know, does she find any of them attractive? And she was like realizing that they were like objectively attractive, and she knew that her friends would find them attractive, but she just didn't care. And I had one of those exact moments in my life, and it just blew my mind. And I had to stop the book a couple of times and just cried, because I was just like, how is this a memoir about someone else's life? Like, I didn't think you could relate to a memoir as much as I related to this. It was just absolutely mind-blowing, and I am just so happy. I'm so glad that I discovered this book. Basically, completely, you know, random discovery. I feel like a different person, and this book already had a deep impact on me and will continue to have a deep impact on me. I actually want to get a physical copy, read it again, underline it, put like stickers in it, all of the things, because oh my god, like now I get what people are actually talking about when they talk about how amazing it is to relate to something, because this is the first time that I could actually like 100% relate to someone. And I'm glad I'm getting through this without crying. Wow, just amazing. And definitely highly recommended audiobook, or general, highly recommended memoir if you're like, for everyone, but especially if you're someone who has only realized, you're queer in your 20s. Y'all. Oh my god. I obviously gave Would You Rather 5 out of 5 stars, and I have put it on my top books of the year immediately. I don't think a non-fiction book has ever done that before. Oh my god. And finally this month I read Drumroll Please by Liza Jen Bigelow. This is actually a middle grade contemporary, and it is also an arc that I requested, and it comes out at the end of June, and there will be a full video review for this. I normally don't really read middle grade, and I especially would normally never request a middle grade because it's just not my genre, and I don't really think I would feel very comfortable with, reviewing it. But Drumroll Please sounded like my kind of book. It's about a girl who goes to a music summer camp over the summer. Oh, of course, it's a summer camp, so you go there over the summer. Anyway, and yeah, she plays the drums. Her parents have very recently divorced, so she kind of has to deal with that while being at camp. And then she also starts having feelings for a girl. And so I was like, that's kind of like my book. I love drums, I love drumming, I love drummers. So I just knew I had to read it in a middle grade book about a girl going to a music summer camp and discovering that she's queer. I needed this book, and I'm so glad that I decided to give this middle grade book a chance, because it was absolutely wonderful. This was so delightful, but also had so many important messages packed into it, and I just kind of want to buy like 20 copies and just give it to, kids to read it. It's just wonderful. This didn't even feel very middle grade-ish. I mean, you could tell from the themes in it, definitely. But as far as like the writing goes, it didn't feel like juvenile in any way. I felt like this read just as a YA contemporary, maybe like a lower YA, but very much like a YA contemporary. So if you're interested in the themes and you normally don't really read middle grade, I'd still highly recommend this. It obviously doesn't have like a fleshed out romance, but there's still like a great connection and a great chemistry between the two characters. And as I said, the themes you can tell is more middle grade, but everything still was just really great, really well done, and still relatable, especially as someone who has went to quite a lot of summer camps. There were so many situations that I could really relate to where I was like, oh, I get these feelings, especially this kind of feeling, which I think was very well portrayed, of how 2 weeks in a summer camp can feel like an absolute eternity. It can feel like this is your whole world and everything is surrounding around this thing, and you feel like you can fall in love and you can have these really intense, deep friendships, which normally in 2 weeks would never happen. So I thought that was very well portrayed. But yeah, also, the way she deals with the parents' divorce, and also she's there with her best friend. So obviously, spending 2 weeks together in a summer camp is not always easy, even if it's with your best friend. The kind of friendship struggles you have there, the struggles she has with her own confidence in herself, in her, ability to play the drums, all these kinds of things, all of them were done so very well. I really love this. I think this is a wonderful book, and I definitely recommend it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm happy. This book made me incredibly happy. So yeah, this is everything that I read in the second half of May, except for Only Human. I had a really, really great second half of the month, and in general, looking back at the month, I'm very happy with everything that I read, and there were some really, really great, wonderful, enjoyable books in there. I just feel really great. And yeah, let me know what your favorite book of the month was. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!